In my last video, I spoke about pulling myself out of depression, basically, and a lot of you reached out to me in the time since then asking me how I did it. And I didn't go into it in that video because it would have been just like a fucking hour long and not that useful for anyone because I think it would have diluted the main message. So with that in mind, I want this video to be fully dedicated to telling you about all the things that I did, practical things that you can do and implement in your life as well to change your mindset, change your physical health, and just be a real fucking human again. A lot of the things that I'm going to tell you, some are based in neuroscience and actually do have implications, physical implications, and some are just, trust me bro, I found it in a dream or I read it in a book. So I will link, got a little Chinese there, sorry. I will rank the resources down below, and if you came to this channel thinking that I was gonna hold your hand about some of this stuff, I'm not. You need to do the research yourself. You need to know why you believe the things that you believe. And I just want you guys to be the most magnetic, critically thinking people that you can be, because that's really all we have. Like in this age of AI, our humanness and our ability to synthesize information with nuance and with, our personality attached is more important than ever. So if you didn't watch my last video, I can give you a little bit of context of where I was at the beginning of this year before I thought to make any of these changes. And I was in an extremely low aura, low vibrational, low energy state. I was lethargic basically every day. I didn't see any reason to wake up. I basically would wake up and just want to go next. I was in the worst shape of my life at the time. I had, developed a kind of really unhealthy pattern of eating where I would just eat one meal a day and thought that was enough, and it would be like a sweet potato from Donkey. I was going to the gym most days, not getting any stronger or any closer to the physique that I wanted, and I guess I thought that I had to reach a certain physique to feel lovable or feel confident, because obviously I was just not interfacing with good people at the time or anyone who was really motivating me in that way. I was completely energy vamping anyone that would listen to me speak about how depressed I was, how over it was, how, just the negative self-talk. I would just sort of, which I'm so grateful for all my friends for being there for me during this time, but I was absolutely no fun to be around. I hated going outside. And yeah, I would just sit in a cold, air-conditioned room by myself and just lose fucking ranked games on League all day. Not get any better, blame my team, not take any accountability or get a coach or watch, replays. I just thought I was above that, and I was just running them back and running them back because it was just free dopamine. And it was better to feel the stress of a competitive video game than the stress of facing my demons and facing my life and the mess I essentially had made of it. I was just trying to avoid accountability any way that I could. On the topic of avoiding accountability, I had gotten really autistic about theology and how just any way that I could place my power outside of myself so I didn't have to face the fact that I was in this stuck position because of me, 100% because of me and the decisions that I had made in my life. No more joshing around, let's get into it. Number 1, tragic news, guys. I'm so sorry, but there has not been a single more fucking impactful change that I made than getting up at 5 a.m. I'm sorry. We as humans need to wake up before or at the crack of dawn to activate our circadian rhythm, to live like we're actually meant to have our bodies function the way that we're meant to. Even if you have a Guna routine or you wake up and scroll immediately and fucking flashbang yourself with blue light, which I do still sometimes, would you rather do that from 5 to 6 a.m. or would you rather do that from 10 to 11? And just completely cook your day. I don't want to explain this anymore because I don't need to. It is just like common sense. Get the fuck up. You do not, even if you don't get enough sleep the night before, get up anyway, and you will just have the most fucking based, relaxing, amazing sleep that night. So really simple, guys. If there's nothing else you do from this video, just do that. The second thing is taking very, very deep inventory of the people around you. I don't know how true this is now, but I really grew up thinking and saying to people, you are the sum of the 5 closest people to you. So you may as well surround yourself by people that you want to be like. If you do not want to be like the people that are closest to you, you are allowed to remove yourself. Nobody is keeping you there. Okay, what about history? What about blah, blah? Who cares? Energetically, if there is an aura gap, your energy is being siphoned by that extra person who is always depressed, aka me at the beginning of the year. Anyways, besides the point, people who can be helped can be helped. If people don't want to help themselves, it's just, there's nothing you can do. Look online. There's not that many, but me personally, I feel like the people who inspired me the most to like get out and like go to the gym and like wake up early was like Sam Sulek and like PewDiePie, to be quite honest. For women, I think this girl, Ashley Aurora, is an amazing resource. My own discernment, I feel like she is like our earth angel. And a lot of the time, people who try to help like motivate women and stuff, it's still very ego driven. I don't sense any of that in her at all. And I think she lives her life in a really, I don't know, in a very lovely and like nourishing way, and she really just wants the best for women. So I would watch her if you haven't already. Here's a bonus pro tip. Do not take advice from people who aren't jacked or have shown discipline in their bodies. And why do I say that? Word cells will have you think that Plato was this orator and it was all in the mind, and you know, he was this revolutionary thinker. Do you know what Plato was? Plato was fucking jacked, okay? He would just get up and mock everyone. He was a wrestler, and you could see there was weight in his words because he looked it. He looked like a god, you know? I know a lot of my girlies are already doing this, but a lot of guys are gonna recoil at this one, and it's journaling. I'm so sorry. It is journaling. And if it doesn't feel like you are crashing out with evidence, you are doing it wrong. So the way I journaled when I was the most depressed was, okay, number one, I got a journal that I actually liked, that I wanted to open every day, and that I was like excited to write in. This is a extortionately expensive one from Louise Carmen, but guess what? It was the only way that I would get myself to remain consistent and treat it almost like a ritual. There's like, as soon as I got up, this was the first thing that I saw that I did, and I wouldn't allow myself to go about my day until I released anything that was pent up over the night or that I thought about, like lying awake, not being able to sleep. And in the same way, get a pen you really like. I have this Itoya one. I thought I lost it 2 times, and it was just World War III. I don't really use prompts, but what I like to do is get into a little bit of like a meditative state. It's not necessary, but if you really don't know what to write, you just grab your pen, you just put it on the page, and then you just write automatically. There's science behind this, but I'm just not. You guys go read it yourself. When you just put pen to paper and you just start writing, most of the time you're gonna find that you are channeling your subconscious. You're giving your subconscious and your inner child and, you know, whatever else, the opportunity to send you a message, to tell you what it's feeling, to alert you to everything that you've been ignoring and that needs to be addressed or needs to be processed. If you don't know where to start journaling, revisiting your inner child is really, really, really important. And tip number 4 is to do things that make your inner child happy. And they don't have to cost any money or be, you know, so elaborate. For example, I really do love animals, and I used to live on a farm. I had ponies, I had a dog, I had a cat, I had chickens, and I would go out and basically hang out with them every single day and just sit on the grass and just be a fucking kid. I don't have that anymore. So on the way home from the gym, I will sometimes make a detour into the park and just feed squirrels fucking Tesco nuts out of my hand. And that brings me way too much joy. I know that squirrels are just fucking rats with extra steps and probably riddled with all sorts of parasites and whatnot, but it makes me really happy. And that is just a small example of like the type of shit that you could be doing. And just bring out the whimsy in you, protect your whimsy. That is especially for women. Another thing I did was I became hyper aware of the music that I was listening to. And you'll find that a lot of modern music talk about really degenerate ways of being, like guised as female empowerment or, I don't know, male empowerment. And, you know, everything is frequency. So whatever you listen to, whatever you absorb is what you become, is what your spirit and your mindset becomes. I only started listening to things that made me feel good and not sad. There's a time and place for things that make you sad if you really, really need to cry, or you really, really need to release in that way, or you need to self-regulate, or you need to unearth memories that are painful so that you can process them. And I certainly don't want to sit here and tell you what to and not to listen to, but just to kind of plant the seed in your head that you should probably pay attention to the music, the frequency, and the lyrics that you are listening to, because a lot of the stuff is out to keep us in states of consciousness where we can't rise to our power. In terms of what music I listen to, if in doubt, I will literally just spam the Beach Boys, because there's no way that you can listen to the Beach Boys and not be happy. Another thing I started doing was just listening to just like pure frequency music to basically match whatever, you know, vibration or mood I was in or what I was trying to do in a meditation. So 1111 hertz for connectivity to the self and to God and to your consciousness, to your higher self, to, I don't know, seek truth, seek answers, or just, I don't know, be in union with yourself. I sleep to 432 hertz, which is a healing frequency, and I'll link the video that I use below that Josh made, our CTO. That's like a 10-hour loop, but I'll also link the original creator. And for manifesting love and to be feeling love within yourself and to self-love, I listen to 528 hertz, which is the love frequency. Self-regulate through witnessing true beauty. So there's literally a study on the psychological and the, I guess, internal effects of girls being around or waking up to beautiful flowers. No matter how deep of a pit or a hole or a dark night of the soul I was in, I made sure that my home was clean and beautiful, that I always had fresh flowers. Beautiful things radiate the frequency of God, and when you perceive something beautiful and you raise your vibration, it'll be reflected back to you. So the more beauty you perceive, the more beauty will be reflected back to you and will be easy to transmute and just experience and be a part of. So yeah, if you're in the store and you're umming and ahhing over the beautiful roses or tulips or whatever in front of you, just buy them. The next thing is physical activity, or just moving your body. When you move your body, you move stagnant chi, or you move stagnant energy around that's been sitting. That could be holding trauma, that could be holding pain, or whatever else that, if not addressed, will cause real health issues for you. So it doesn't have to be rigorous weightlifting or anything like that, although that is probably one of the best things you can do for your nervous system and for just overall health. But it could be qigong, it could be tai chi, it could be Pilates, it could be tennis. I played a lot of tennis. It could be, you know, going to the driving range. I would do that a lot as well, just to release tension and just stretch beforehand and just really like get the blood flowing. It seems like a no-brainer, but honestly, just make sure it's something fun. If it's running, it's running, which is kind of bad for your joints and your knees, so I wouldn't recommend running, but if you have to, you have to. I think moving your body is really, really important. I used to brand myself as this introvert who hated going outside, and I was like, for some reason, in love with that identity. But yeah, I was like overly attached to that, and now I know it's just about moving your body. And we all know that when you work out, you release a bunch of endorphins and get all of these really, really amazing hormonal benefits. especially women, you have to lift weights. Not you have to, but I mean, sorry, if you're my friend, you have to lift weights because it is just so good for you. The next thing I did was I put a lot of energy and thought into being in nature. So when I was in Hong Kong, I would do the Dragon's Back hike. I would go out for a long walk every single day. I had this Xiaomi step tracker that I was just like, I have to get 10K every day or I will like crash out. And that thing programmed me to get out of the house, rain or shine, or, you know, sundown or sunrise or whatever, and just get to that number. And sorry to be Caucasian about it, but you have to get your steps in. I'm not doing it as much now. Being in nature is just goated. And if you don't believe me, meditate at home in your living room, and then on a different day, go out to, you know, a forest or a park and meditate there and see just how different the sensations are, how much more aware you are of your breath, of your body, of your surroundings, and how much more connected you feel to God and the universe. We are meant to live outside for a reason. Speaking of meditation, the last one is meditation. There is no quicker way to get in conference with yourself and what you need to hear and truth than to just sit down and meditate. There is one meditation I used specifically when I was at my peak, I want to go next. And I remember I was in bed, I had just taken antidepressants, and I was like, I need to be like somewhere safe so I don't do anything. I got into bed and I opened up YouTube, and it was, I kid you not, it was the top video on my algorithm. I will link it below, and I guarantee you there is not one fucking person on this earth who is too good to do this new meditation. This one shocked me to the bone. It was such a crazy release. I cried for like 3 hours straight. And yeah, anyone who thinks that they're better than this, or they're better than any sort of like breath work or claims to be enlightened in any way, doesn't even scratch the surface of what it means to be truly enlightened. If you were truly enlightened, you would not exist. You would be a fucking formless ball of energy in the great amnesia of consciousness. You would be fucking Buddha. The shadow work that you do, the trauma release that you experience through meditation is a for life thing. You'll be doing it forever. And I think it is a beautiful thing. Anyone who claims or says that you can get to a state where you don't need to meditate anymore, or you don't need to work on yourself, should know that that is one of the greatest spiritual treasons ever. And to teach people that is honestly really, really dangerous. So yeah, that of course wasn't everything I did. If I made a video on that, it would be like 3 hours long. But these are the probably most simple actions that you can take, and I hope they helped.